Hi there, and welcome to the latest in the Behind the Email series of interviews. Today I have the absolute pleasure in talking to Yanis Maus. He is the co-founder of Hive, which is an absolutely fantastic piece of software. I'll let him tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so Hive is a customer advocacy platform. We help a brand turn happy customers into engaged fans that help a company grow.
Okay, cool. So normally when we're doing these interviews, we're talking to people that are actually sending loads of emails. We get all the story about what they're doing exactly and what motivates them. Yanis is a little bit different, which we've known for many years, but what makes him different is he gets his customers. In fact, Yanis, you tell us a bit about how you use email differently with your platform.
Yeah, so I think that first of all, it's really important to set the scene somewhat. So for a long time, I think that brands have been engaging consumers in the wrong way. We've been pushing messages at consumers in the hope that they will resonate. And I think the world's moved on. Consumers want more collaboration. And I think if we look at the state of a nation, trust is at an all-time low. 42% of consumers distrust brands. That's about 18 million people in the UK that don't believe what brands are saying. You then look at something like GDPR, which has caused us to lose a lot of data as a result. We need to rethink the way we engage consumers, and I think the way we do that is invite consumers in to collaborate, stop pushing messages at consumers, and actually deliver things to them that they want.
Okay, I totally agree with you, because when it comes to it, I've been talking to my clients for a very long time about you can't just keep pushing what you want to tell somebody, because when you start pushing that message at somebody, they switch off, they don't listen, they don't pay attention, and they disengage. So how do you advocate somebody to communicate that through email?
I think it starts with a conversation. I think you've got to invite consumers to tell you their opinions. Tell them what they want to see from your brand and your products and services. I think a great place to start is customer feedback. And that feedback can then drive the conversation forward. It may be that you find a new product innovation. It may be the fact that actually consumers want a different level of service from you. I think all of that is really important to understand the empathy from a consumer point of view, and that's where you can shape your engagement strategy from.
Okay, so that's quite interesting talking about the customer surveys. Can you talk us through a bit about how you would go through that process with the customer so they can actually get some good quality feedback from it rather than just stock answers?
Yeah, for sure. I think for we've moved away from surveys. Consumers don't want to fill out surveys. Ask yourself the question: do you enjoy taking out surveys? Probably not. So I think there's a couple of things there. They need to be short and easy to answer. Probably one score, one comment, and it needs to be at the moment of truth. When you've just had a service interaction or some kind of transaction. At that point, a consumer is more likely to leave you feedback. And again, then it's really understanding the empathy and rational drivers behind that feedback. What do consumers really want, and how can you take that feedback and take action on it within your organisation? And to capture that feedback, obviously email marketing is a great way of doing that, as is SMS, as is WhatsApp, as is all the other channels as well. So it's about that mix of channels really when it comes to engagement with consumers.
Okay, and on your platform, that's one of the ways you've done. So one of your first triggers is email marketing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, email for us is still such an essential part of the communication mix. It will always be a big part of it, but it just needs to be used in the right areas of the business, and it needs to be the most relevant channel for the consumer at that point. So if the conversation's already started on email, well, great. Continue that conversation on email. Don't switch channels. But yeah, email marketing, I think, is such a fundamental part of any business's communication mix.
I think one of the most interesting stats I heard was from the DMA, the Direct Marketing Association. They interviewed a load of their customers and asked, how do you actually want to be communicated with on a B2B level? And the preference of choice was email marketing. So I think, and I know your platform, when you send those, send that initial engagement out to people, you're sending those emails out. What do they look like? How do you get that engagement from somebody initially?
Yeah, so we have a mix of different things in our emails. So it won't just be trying to. Actually, we very rarely sell through our email, if I'm totally honest. What we're looking to do is get engagement. So we might competitions in there. We might have feedback, and we might ask some of our loyal customers to refer us to other people as well. We might invite them to actually take part in user-generated content to help us come in with kind of new products and services by taking part in online panels. And all this engagement actually fosters a relationship. It fosters a conversation, and customers feel more loyal to you, and they feel like they're being included, as opposed to kind of receiving an email saying this is our latest offer. People see straight through that. You need to build trust. So we have this rule, which is kind of the 3-1 rule. Deliver free, valuable pieces to a customer before you ask something of them. And I think if you stick to that, the level of engagement will be high.
Yeah, one of the analogies I use when I'm talking to people that's trying to learn about email, and then we try and transition them away from that sort of sell approach, is imagine if you're walking down the high street and you bump into somebody for the first time. You aren't going to jump up to them and say, "Buy my stuff now." You're going to sort of walk to them, you're going to say hi. You're going to start having that conversation with them, aren't you? At that point, once you've built that trust and rapport up with them, that's when you start bringing sales in, isn't it?
It is. And for a long time, I think that kind of email is important, but it's not where you start. You start with a content strategy. So, and you start with the foresight that you're going to nurture a prospect. And you do that by delivering valuable thought leadership to them. You become a trusted source to them, and that will naturally evolve into them wanting to buy your products and services if they're good quality, of course. Because if they're not good quality, then you're going to have a problem. But I think that's where you can start to explore stuff like ebooks, webinars, get people to come to events. We live in a digital world that creates a lot of noise, so having that kind of face-to-face engagement with a prospect is second to none. Email, of course, can be the mechanism that drives that invite, that follows up after the event, and all of that. But it's about seeing it as a campaign and not just as a channel and a communication.
Okay. It's quite interesting to talk about building the confidence and the trust. What would you say are some of the key things to do to get trust there? Because there's so many things out there, whether it's from the obvious, such as phishing emails, right the way through to companies which you don't necessarily know, and you haven't built that relationship. But then you've got those that communication, those emails that come through, which are absolutely solid, which you look forward to every single day, week, month, and you engage with every single time. What does that?
It's different for every consumer. Personally, I like ones that make me smile, that are a little bit disruptive, that get me thinking, that really kind of break through that noise of kind of the mundane. That's what I'm looking for. But also the ones that are inviting me into the conversation again. That for me is the most important thing. If I get an email where it's like, actually, you want me to take part in something, maybe it's research, maybe it's delivering a really valuable piece of thought leadership to me, that's the stuff I'm going to take, sit up and listen to. Following that, I might then investigate the product and service behind it. There are examples of that where, over a period of time, I built up trust with that organisation, and then someone had got in touch with me and said, actually, we've got a complementary product. Would you like to, investigate a little bit further? Of course, absolutely, because we now have a relationship between the brand and the consumer.
Okay, that's quite interesting. You talk about getting people to complete your surveys, to engage with other topics. That can be quite a hard thing to get the customers engaged. How do you go about doing that?
You've got to tell the customer what you've previously done. So, the whole kind of you said we did. Start with that. Say, actually, from previous research, surveys, feedback that we've conducted with our consumers, these are the changes we've made. So that builds trust straight away. Consumers know that it isn't just going to be a waste of time. You've then got to make it really easy. Literally one score, one question. You've got to act in the moment, at that moment of truth. And from that, you will get some rich insight. Also, ask them what they're looking, for. How are they looking, kind of, for the company to innovate around the consumer. Not just the simple kind of, would you recommend us to a friend and family, and why? Well, that's not really going to give you that much powerful insight. So switch the questions around. Ask lots of different questions along the customer journey, and you will get rich insight.
Okay. And once you talk about doing this sort of like this one-click engagement to get that rich insight, what do you do with it then?
And then it's about kind of taking your time to really understand it, not just from one consumer's perspective, from kind of, across the board. What do all consumers say? What are the common themes that cut across all of that? Once you've understood those, it's about prioritising that into an action plan. One thing I would say with that, though, is don't take it as gospel. Consumers will tell you one thing, but they mean another. So it's about kind of, using your intuition to work out what consumers really want and then innovating around that.
Yeah, I think that you bring up a really, really vital point. A lot of marketeers put 100% faith in reports, in analytics. I think gut instinct plays a huge part in that. And I take it you've come across that in the past.
Yeah, data's important, right? Data is kind of, we're lucky to live in a world where we've got data. And I remember kind of, 20 years ago, I might not look it, but yeah, I was around then, to kind of make assumptions based on what we were doing, above the line marketing. We would put out advertisements and kind of see the brand kind of reputation and sentiment go up. We wouldn't really know why. Now data gives that advantage. The bad side about that is almost data paralysis. You're in a point where you're over-analysing and you're not being creative, you're not making decisions, you're not taking risks. So I think that actually kind of data's great to run experiments around. So keep trying new things and let the data then kind of, tell you whether you're, winning or losing around those experiments. And then when you see kind of the green shoots of success, that's where you can kind of start to focus on those areas and kind of, expand them across your marketing strategy.
Fantastic. I know that one of the things we have in Popcorn, we have some really great success with, is, as you say, a lot of people, they go on that first click, but then using the insight as to where they're looking on the websites, which pages they're going to, if you can tie that in with all that information, that gives really valuable insight then as well, because you get people don't often assume they're being tracked at those stages, so you can understand what true motivations are at that stage. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think you have to have a kind of, a full view of the customer journey. You need to know, how they've initially engaged, how they carry on engaging, and kind of all the touch points along the customer journey, because that will give you a full view of how you're doing. What I would say around the customer journey in general, and website being a kind of key part of that, is making sure that you've got trust indicators, making sure that you've got customer referrals, testimonials.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there? Sorry, just for the viewers that perhaps aren't aware of that, can you explain what trust indicator is?
Yeah, of course. So a trust indicator would be a customer referral, a case study, a testimonial, 5-star reviews, reviews in general, anything that kind of a consumer looks at and goes, this company is a reputable one, and there's a whole kind of, array of things that fit under that. So it's about making sure that along the consumer journey, all the way from email actually, customer referrals are a great way of communicating via email, because again, initially it brings up trust. Imagine an email goes out and that email is inviting someone to come to a webinar, and that webinar is actually you talking to one of your existing customers. Well, they get to see the product and service, they get a bit of thought leadership, and they get to see that you're trusted. And now imagine that going across your entire customer journey, all your communication channels. Over time, that nurturing will build up trust with that consumer until they're ready to hopefully make the purchase, which will be your product or service.
Okay. And I suppose when we talk about the nurturing side, if you started the journey on email, that naturally brings us through into customer engagement, and marketing automation. So that's, I suppose, have you used that with customers in the past?
I've got it terribly wrong in the past. So I think kind of marketing automation is this kind of holy grail, and sometimes it can kind of cause all sorts of problems. Let's think about kind of what consumers really want, and that's personalisation. For me, automation destroys that, or at least it can do, because what you're doing is just keep throwing the same emails at the same consumers in the hope that they will resonate. Yeah, it takes a lot of the burden off the marketeer, and I think we need a level of automation when it comes to marketing and email. But I think what we also need is true personalisation. It's taking the time to, throughout that automated journey, breaking it with an email that goes out, or an SMS, or a phone call, or whatever it may be, saying, actually, I'd love a conversation with you. I'd love to find out a little bit more about kind of what you're looking for. Do you want to take part in some research? Is there research that we may have that is valuable to you? We've got to remember that every consumer that is looking to buy our products and services have some kind of goal or challenge, and it's about kind of helping them achieve that goal and challenge above and beyond your product and service. If you can do that, then the product and service will be a natural next step. So try and set out your stall with every communication to help that prospect, to help that consumer. If you do that, you're not going to go too far wrong.
No, I suppose that's where the intelligence comes in. So one of the things we use the automation for, I totally agree with you, that setting up a campaign which then drips feed out for the next X months where they receive all this information, it's useless. It's a static list. Someone's not going to get any value from it, really. But where it gets really powerful is where you're talking about, and that's being able to say, I can see people have shown these levels of behaviour, they've been on the website, they've been looking at this, and that's moving them round into different levels of communication, so you can then identify what somebody's interested in, and then you can start sending the relevant information out to them, whether it's that customer testimonial or whether it's sending them, so just engage with that person where they want to be engaged with.
Absolutely, yeah. Start from a point of helping them. That's it. It's very, very simple. If you can help people, people will build loyalty with you. So yeah, kind of ask them what we want. It's not rocket science, but sometimes kind of digital communication, causes a problem where we don't ask, we assume, we keep sending stuff to people, and then we kind of wonder, why aren't people opening our emails? Why aren't they clicking on our emails? Why aren't they kind of engaging with our campaign? You haven't asked.
Exactly, and when it comes to it as well, what is it? What is the purpose of any form of marketing? Whether we're talking customer engagement, whether we're talking direct mail, whatever it is, the whole purpose is to get us talking to a person. So the quicker we can get to that point, it makes marketing far more valuable.
Absolutely, and I think if we kind of we're being very honest with ourselves, the point of marketing is to sell.
Completely.
And sometimes I find a lot of marketeers shy away from that. They kind of say, well, actually, no, it's about kind of brand reputation. Yeah, absolutely, it is. It's brand reputation, but it's also revenue. And I think kind of the moment we kind of start to kind of think it's about kind of starting with help, building trust, building empathy, but ultimately then kind of looking at how we can turn that empathy into revenue, and then from there loyalty and trust again. It's a circle.
Yeah.
You win someone with trust, and then you kind of build trust and drive loyalty that way.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. But what is the point of doing all those things? You speak to any business owner, and they will say, the reason I'm building trust, the reason I'm building brand loyalty, the reason I'm doing all of these things is to drive sales.
It is, and there are ways of doing that. That don't have to again be kind of check us out. We've got the world's best product. Come and buy it. Here's a special offer. Actually, no. A great way of doing that is getting your own customers to tell your story. That's where I believe marketing is heading. It's one where actually kind of word of mouth becomes an integral part of any business. And of course, we all know that. We all know that kind of people trust other consumers over brands. People buy from other people. But actually, it's about kind of enabling that, and that's something that we're trying to do at Hive, is to really kind of help brands kind of do that. Build those customer stories and get customers to tell those stories. With prospects, people trust people. So what a great way of doing that. And again, that's where you can look at kind of email, SMS, voice, whatever other channel that you may be considering or using as a vehicle to get that across to people.
But having that insight which you gather from the customers means you're communicating the right part.
Absolutely, yeah, and just ask people. People want to kind of be engaged with. They want to be part of those stories. They want to help you innovate. So kind of ask them to kind of help you, and they will.
Brilliant, Yanis. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our readers will look forward to finding out more information from you later. Thank you.
Pleasure.